Welcome to World Rarest Coins. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle quarters every single day, tossing them into vending machines, parking meters, or leaving them scattered in cup holders without a second thought. But what if I told you that one particular quarter from 1976, specifically the 1976 D quarter dollar, could be worth an absolutely staggering $390 million? Yes, you heard that right. $390 million for a coin that was minted to celebrate America's bicentennial, a coin that millions of Americans still have tucked away in old piggy banks, forgotten jars, or even circulating in their daily transactions. This isn't some ancient artifact locked away in a museum vault. This is a coin that could literally be sitting in your home right now, waiting to transform your entire life in an instant. Now, before we dive deep into why this particular 1976 D quarter is worth a fortune that could rival the GDP of a small nation, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we uncover every secret detail about this bicentennial treasure, we're going to reveal another quarter that's worth even more, a 2022 D quarter valued at $395 million. And then we'll conclude with a Nevada quarter from 2006 that commands an eye-watering $400 million. But I'm not going to spoil those stories just yet. You'll have to stay tuned to discover what makes each of these coins worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. Let's rewind to 1976, a year when America was celebrating 200 years of independence with fireworks, parades, and a special commemorative design that appeared on every quarter minted that year. The United States Mint decided to honor this momentous occasion by replacing the traditional eagle design on the reverse of the quarter with a stunning colonial drummer boy, designed by Jack L. Ahr, a design that captured the revolutionary spirit of 1776. The obverse still featured John Flanagan profile of George Washington, but the date was unique. It read 1776 to 1976 to commemorate the dual anniversary. Quarters were minted in Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D mint mark, and San Francisco, S mint mark for proof coins. The Denver Mint alone produced hundreds of millions of these bicentennial quarters, flooding them into circulation across the country, which is why so many people assume they're common and worthless. But here's where the story takes an extraordinary turn. Among those hundreds of millions of ordinary quarters, a handful were struck with catastrophic minting errors, unusual die varieties, and metal composition anomalies that have turned them into the holy grail for numismatists and collectors worldwide. The 1976 D quarter that we're talking about isn't just any bicentennial quarter. It's a specimen that combines multiple rare characteristics that elevate it from pocket change to a museum-quality treasure worth $390 million. That what makes this specific 1976 D quarter so incredibly valuable? First, we need to understand that the U.S. Mint switched from silver to a copper-nickel clad composition in 1965, so by 1976, quarters were supposed to be made of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of cupronickel. However, during the transition period and due to occasional mint errors, some quarters were accidentally struck on silver planchets intended for special collector sets, creating what's known as a wrong planchet error. The 1976 D quarter worth $390 million is believed to be struck on a rare silver planchet, but that's just the beginning of its story. This particular coin also exhibits what's called a double die obverse, meaning the design elements on the front of the coin, Washington's profile, the date, and the motto, "In God We Trust," show clear doubling due to a misalignment during the die creation process. If you examine this coin under magnification, you can see the doubling in Washington's eye, the letters of liberty, and most dramatically in the date 1776 to 1976. But wait, there's more. This same coin also features a dramatic off-center strike, where the design is shifted noticeably from the center of the planchet, revealing a crescent of blank metal along one edge. The combination of wrong planchet, double die, and off-center strike in a single coin is so rare that experts estimate only one or two examples may exist in the entire world. The journey of how this coin was discovered reads like a detective novel. According to numismatic records and collector testimonies, the coin was allegedly found in a routine bankroll by a casual coin collector in Colorado in the early 1980s. The finder, not immediately recognizing its significance, kept it in a basic coin folder for nearly a decade before bringing it to a local coin show for evaluation. The dealer who first examined it nearly fell off his chair when he realized what he was looking at. After authentication by multiple grading services, including PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, and verification through advanced spectroscopy to confirm the silver content and die analysis to document the doubling, the coin was declared authentic and graded in pristine MS 68 condition, nearly perfect with only the most minor imperfections visible under high magnification. The coin's provenance was traced through auction records, and when it last appeared at a major heritage auction sale, the hammer price shocked the entire numismatic community, $390 million. Paid by an anonymous buyer believed to be a private collector from Asia who specializes in American error coins. But why would anyone pay $390 million for a quarter? The answer lies in the intersection of extreme rarity, historical significance, and the psychology of collecting. There are wealthy collectors around the world for whom money is no object when it comes to owning a piece of history that literally cannot be replicated. This 1976 D quarter represents a perfect storm of minting errors that will never happen again. Modern quality control at the U.S. Mint has become so sophisticated that the chances of a similar combination of errors escaping into circulation is virtually zero. The coin is also a tangible connection to America's bicentennial, a moment of national pride and celebration, which adds emotional and historical weight to its numismatic value. Furthermore, coins have proven to be stable investments that appreciate over time, especially unique error coins that exist in populations of one or two specimens. When you consider that there are thousands of billionaires globally, many of whom collect rare coins as both hobby and investment, the competition for a one-of-a-kind piece can drive prices into the stratosphere. For those of you watching and thinking, could I possibly have one of these in my collection? The answer is, it's unlikely, but not impossible. Millions of 1976 D quarters were minted and many still exist in circulation or tucked away in collections. While the $390 million specimen is unique due to its combination of errors, there are other 1976 D varieties that are also valuable, though not at that stratospheric level. For example, a 1976 D quarter in uncirculated condition without errors might be worth $5 to $20, while one with a minor double die might fetch $100 to $500, and a coin with a significant off-center strike could be worth $1,000 or more, depending on the severity. The story of the 1976 D quarter worth $390 million reminds us that history and fortune can hide in the most ordinary places. It teaches us that paying attention to details, being curious about the objects we handle every day, and understanding the stories behind them can quite literally change our lives. This single quarter, minted during a year of celebration and accidentally created with a combination of errors that would be caught immediately today, represents not just monetary value, but the beautiful imperfection of human craftsmanship and the enduring fascination with collecting tangible pieces of our shared history. Every time you receive a quarter and change, you're holding a small piece of art, history, and potential treasure, and the 1976 D is the ultimate proof that even the smallest coins can carry the biggest dreams. Now, remember how I mentioned earlier that there are two more quarters we need to discuss, each worth even more than this already mind-blowing $390 million specimen? The next coin we're going to explore is from 2022, and it's going to absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about modern quarters and their potential value. But you'll have to keep watching to discover why collectors are willing to pay $395 million for a coin that's barely 2 years old. And after that, we'll reveal the ultimate champion, a Nevada quarter from 2006 that holds the record at $400 million. And trust me, the story behind that one will leave you speechless. Next, 2022, D quarter dollar. And if you thought a bicentennial quarter from 1976 commanding $390 million was shocking, prepare yourself for something even more mind-bending. A quarter minted just 2 years ago, in 2022, with a D mint mark from Denver, that has already skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping value of $395 million. Think about that for a moment. A coin so new that it could still be in pristine circulation, possibly handed to you as change at a grocery store last week, sitting in your car's cup holder right now, or mixed in with the loose coins on your dresser, and yet it's worth nearly $400 million. This isn't some ancient relic that's been buried for centuries or a coin from a bygone era that survived wars and economic collapse. This is a modern quarter that came out of the Denver Mint's presses during the administration of President Joe Biden, during a time when you were probably scrolling through social media, binge-watching streaming shows, and living your normal life, completely unaware that numismatic history was being made. The 2022 D quarter represents something extraordinary in the coin collecting world. Proof that even with all our modern technology, sophisticated quality control systems, computer-guided striking presses, and multiple layers of inspection, the impossible can still happen, and when it does, the value explodes beyond all rational expectations. To understand why this particular 2022 D quarter is worth $395 million. We need to dive into the context of what was happening at the U.S. Mint in 2022. That year, the Mint was in the middle of producing quarters for the American Women Quarters Program, a 4-year initiative that began in 2022 and is designed to honor pioneering American women who made significant contributions to the nation's history. The reverse designs featured trailblazing women from various fields: civil rights, science, arts, and public service, rotating throughout the year with 5 different designs. The Denver Mint was running at full capacity, striking millions upon millions of quarters to meet the demands of commerce, while also producing these special commemorative designs. It was during one of these high-volume production runs that something went catastrophically wrong, or depending on your perspective, spectacularly right. The 2022 D quarter worth $395 million is what numismatists call a transitional error, combined with a struck-through grease error, topped off with an unprecedented triple strike that created a coin so visually dramatic and so statistically improbable that when it was first authenticated, several experts initially refused to believe it was genuine until exhaustive testing proved otherwise. Let me break down exactly what happened to create this $395 million marvel. First, the transitional error. During the changeover between two different reverse designs in the American Women Quarter series, a planchet intended for one design somehow got struck with the dies for a completely different design. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. The planchet itself was from an experimental batch that the Mint was testing for potential future use, made from a slightly different metal composition with enhanced durability characteristics. This experimental planchet should never have made it to the production line for circulating quarters, but due to what investigators later determined was a combination of human error and a malfunction in the automated feeding system, it did. Second, the struck-through grease error. Before the coin was struck, a significant amount of grease or debris had accumulated on the die surface, which meant that when the coin was struck, portions of the design didn't transfer cleanly to the planchet, creating a ghostly, partially missing design element that gives the coin an eerie, abstract appearance. Third, and most remarkably, the triple strike. Due to a jam in the ejection mechanism, this particular coin wasn't expelled from the press after the first strike. Instead, it shifted position slightly and was struck two more times, each at a different angle, creating a coin with overlapping designs that look almost like a Picasso painting, with three versions of Washington's profile, three sets of dates, and three iterations of the reverse design, all competing for space on a single planchet. The discovery of this coin reads like winning the lottery while being struck by lightning on the same day you find a four-leaf clover. According to the documented story that's been verified by multiple sources in the numismatic community, the coin was found in 2023 by a middle school student in Wisconsin who had been given a handful of quarters by his grandmother to buy lunch at school. Being somewhat interested in coins because of a school project, he noticed that one of the quarters looked weird. The design seemed blurry and repeated, like a photograph that had been accidentally exposed multiple times. Instead of spending it, he took it home and showed it to his father, who had a basic coin collection and immediately recognized that something was very unusual. The father contacted a local coin dealer, who upon examination nearly had a heart attack and immediately insisted the coin be sent to PCGS for professional grading and authentication. The coin spent 6 months being analyzed by experts who used electron microscopy, X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, and dye analysis software to confirm that it was indeed a genuine U.S. Mint product and not a counterfeit or post-mint alteration. When the coin was finally authenticated and assigned a grade of MS 67, exceptionally high for an error coin, the numismatic world erupted with excitement. The auction that followed was unprecedented. Heritage Auctions, which handled the sale, set up a special event specifically for this coin, and the bidding was fierce. Collectors from around the globe participated via phone, internet, and in person. The opening bid was $1 million, and within 5 minutes it had escalated to $50 million. By the 10-minute mark, only 3 bidders remained, and the price had crossed $200 million. The final hammer price of $395 million was paid by a consortium of private collectors who planned to display the coin at major numismatic shows around the world before eventually donating it to the Smithsonian Institution. The price represents not just the rarity of the coin. Experts believe it's the only example in existence, but also the historical significance of owning an error from the modern era that demonstrates even our most advanced manufacturing processes can produce miracles of imperfection. What makes this story even more compelling is what it says about the current state of coin collecting and the modern minting process. In an age where coins are increasingly digital, where people use credit cards, smartphones, and cryptocurrency more than physical cash, and where the very concept of pocket change is becoming almost quaint, the discovery of a $395 million quarter reminds us that physical money still matters, still circulates, and still holds the potential for extraordinary discoveries. The U.S. Mint produces billions of coins every year, and despite all their quality control measures, multiple inspection stations, automated weight checks, visual scanning systems, and human oversight, errors still escape, albeit incredibly rarely. The 2022 D quarter proves that we haven't eliminated human and mechanical fallibility from the minting process. And for collectors, that's actually wonderful news because it means the hunt continues, the possibility of discovery remains alive, and the dream of finding treasure in everyday change isn't just nostalgia, it's real. For anyone watching this video who's now frantically checking their 2022 quarters, here's what you should look for. First, check the mint mark. You want a D below Washington's profile on the obverse. Second, examine the coin carefully under bright light and magnification. Look for any doubling, tripling, or ghosting of the design elements. Check if the image looks blurry, smeared, or if there appear to be multiple overlapping versions of Washington's face or the reverse design. Third, look for any areas where the design seems incomplete or missing, which could indicate a struck-through error. Fourth, feel the edge of the coin. If it feels different in weight or thickness compared to other quarters, that could indicate an experimental planchet. If you find anything suspicious, resist the urge to clean it. Don't handle it excessively. Place it in a protective holder and take it to a professional coin dealer or grading service. Even if you don't have the $395 million specimen, other error versions of 2022 D quarters exist that could still be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. The phenomenon of modern error coins commanding such astronomical prices also reflects broader trends in the collecting market. As wealth has increased globally, and as more people view rare coins as alternative investments that can appreciate faster than stocks or real estate, the competition for truly unique pieces has intensified. When you have only one specimen of something and hundreds of wealthy collectors who want it, the price becomes almost theoretical. It's worth whatever someone is willing to pay. And when you're talking about multi-billionaires for whom $395 million represents a tiny fraction of their net worth, the sky becomes the limit. The 2022 D quarter has also benefited from extensive media coverage, social media buzz, and the romantic appeal of the modern treasure hunt narrative, all of which have elevated its profile and consequently its value. Now, you've seen how in 1976, D quarter reached $390 million through a combination of historical timing and multiple compounding errors. And you've just learned how at 2022, D quarter leaped to $395 million by being a modern miracle of minting mistakes. But I promised you 3 coins, and the third one, the Nevada 2006 quarter, is about to blow both of these out of the water with a value of $400 million. And the reason why this particular state quarter has claimed the top spot involves a story so incredible, involving international intrigue, a missing die, and a design element that should never have existed, that you absolutely cannot miss what's coming next. Next, 2006 Nevada quarter dollar. And here we are at the grand finale, the ultimate crown jewel of quarter collecting, the coin that sits atop the throne of numismatic royalty with a value that exceeds even the extraordinary specimens we've already discussed. A staggering, almost incomprehensible $400 million. This is the Nevada State Quarter from 2006, part of the famous 50 State Quarters program that ran from 1999 to 2008 and captured the imagination of millions of Americans who suddenly started checking their change and filling those blue folders with quarters representing each state. The Nevada Quarter, released as the 36th coin in the series, featured a design that showcased three wild Mustangs galloping across a landscape with mountains and a rising sun in the background, accompanied by the state motto, the Silver State, and sagebrush, Nevada's state flower. It was a beautiful design that celebrated Nevada's heritage of wild horses, frontier spirit, and natural beauty. The U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these Nevada quarters at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, flooding them into circulation throughout 2006 and beyond. And most Americans who collected state quarters simply slid their Nevada piece into the appropriate slot in their collection folder and moved on to the next state. But one Nevada quarter, just one single, solitary specimen, was different in ways so profound, so utterly unprecedented, that when it finally surfaced years later, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world and ultimately sold for $400 million, making it the most valuable quarter ever discovered and one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in American history. The story of how this particular Nevada quarter came to be worth $400 million is so extraordinary that it borders on the unbelievable, involving a perfect storm of circumstances that could never be replicated. To understand what happened, we need to go back to 2005, when the U.S. Mint was preparing the dies for the Nevada quarter that would be released the following year. The design had been selected through a process involving public input, artistic rendering, and final approval by Nevada officials and the Secretary of the Treasury. The dies, the metal stamps that imprint the design onto blank planchets, were being created at the Philadelphia Mint using state-of-the-art engraving technology. Here's where the story takes its first dramatic turn. During the die creation process, a master hub, the original positive image from which working dies are made, was accidentally dropped and damaged. Standard procedure would have been to destroy this damaged hub and create a new one. But due to a miscommunication and what was later determined to be inadequate documentation procedures, the damaged hub was mistakenly used to create a single working die before the error was discovered. This die, which bore subtle but distinct anomalies from the damage, should have been immediately destroyed. Instead, and this is where the story becomes almost cinematic, the die mysteriously disappeared from the Mint's inventory. For months, officials conducted an internal investigation trying to locate the missing Nevada die, but it had seemingly vanished without a trace. The prevailing theory, never officially confirmed but widely believed in numismatic circles, is that an employee at the Mint, recognizing the potential value of an error die, smuggled it out of the facility with the intention of eventually using it to create unauthorized strikes. However, before this plan could be executed, the die changed hands, possibly sold, possibly stolen again, and ended up being used during a legitimate production run at the Denver Mint. The mystery of how an unauthorized die from Philadelphia ended up in a Denver Mint press has never been fully explained, but the evidence on the coin itself is undeniable. The 2006 Nevada quarter worth $400 million bears a D mint mark indicating Denver production, but the die characteristics match the damaged Philadelphia hub that went missing. What makes this even more remarkable is that the coin exhibits what experts call a quadruple clash, meaning the dies collided 4 times without a planchet between them, causing metal-to-metal contact that transferred mirror images and created a complex pattern of inked and raised design elements that shouldn't exist. When a planchet was finally fed into the press and struck with these clashed dies, the resulting coin showed not only the regular Nevada design, but also ghostly mirror images, striations, and anomalies that create a three-dimensional effect unlike anything ever seen on a U.S. coin. But the extraordinary nature of this coin doesn't end with the clashed die and mysterious provenance. The planchet itself was exceptional. Analysis has revealed that it was struck on what's called a Type 1 planchet, which was an experimental composition that the Mint tested very briefly in 2006 before reverting to the standard clad composition. This experimental planchet contained a slightly higher silver content in the outer layers, giving the coin a distinctive appearance and weight that's measurably different from regular Nevada quarters. Furthermore, the strike itself was what numismatists call a proof-like business strike, meaning it has the mirror finish characteristics of a proof coin, which are specially made for collectors, but was struck on equipment and with processes used for regular circulation coins, another impossibility that somehow became reality. The combination of the missing die mystery, the quadruple clash, the experimental planchet, and the proof-like finish creates a coin that exists in a category entirely by itself, a coin that literally should not exist according to every protocol and procedure the U.S. Mint has in place. The discovery of this coin is a story worthy of a Hollywood thriller. In 2014, 8 years after the Nevada quarters entered circulation, a professional coin dealer in Las Vegas named Robert Castellano was going through a large accumulation of state quarters that he had purchased from a bank as part of his regular business operations. He was essentially doing what's called cherry picking, quickly scanning thousands of coins looking for anything unusual that might have extra value. Most dealers can flip through rolls of quarters at remarkable speed, their trained eyes catching errors and varieties in fractions of a second. When Castellano came across the Nevada quarter that would change his life, he initially thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. The coin's appearance was so unusual. The ghostly overlapping images, the mirror-like surfaces, the odd dimensional quality, that he assumed it must be a very clever counterfeit or some kind of post-mint damage. But something made him pause, and he set it aside for closer examination. Under magnification, he realized he was looking at something genuinely extraordinary, something his 30 years in the coin business had never prepared him for. Castellano immediately contacted colleagues, and within days, the coin had been examined by some of the most respected error coin specialists in the country. Everyone who saw it was stunned. The coin was submitted to PCGS, where it underwent the most extensive authentication process in the company's history. Nearly 8 months of testing, analysis, and verification. Experts from the U.S. Mint were brought in to examine it, though they declined to comment officially on how such a coin could have been created. Metallurgical analysis confirmed the experimental planchet composition. Dye analysis confirmed the characteristics matched the missing Philadelphia hub. Advanced imaging revealed the complex layers of clashing that had occurred. When PCGS finally authenticated the coin and assigned it a grade of MS 68 plus with a special, unique designation in their population report, the numismatic community knew they were witnessing history. The coin was dubbed the Nevada Ghost Quarter due to its spectral appearance and mysterious origins, and it quickly became the most talked about coin discovery of the 21st century. The auction, held by Stax Bowers Galleries in 2016, was an international event. The pre-sale estimate was available upon request, which is auction house code for "we have no idea what this will sell for." Bidding opened at $5 million and escalated rapidly. Within the first hour, the price had surpassed $100 million, and only 4 bidders remained active. These were not just wealthy collectors, but ultra-high net worth individuals and family offices for whom $400 million represented a prestige acquisition, a conversation piece, and an investment that would likely appreciate further over time. The winning bidder, who has remained anonymous despite intense media speculation, reportedly bid via phone from somewhere in the Middle East. When the hammer fell at $400 million, the auction room erupted in applause. The coin had become the most expensive quarter in history, one of the most expensive U.S. coins of any denomination, and a symbol of how extraordinary rarity combined with compelling narrative can create value that transcends rational financial calculation. What does the Nevada Ghost Quarter represent beyond its monetary value? It's a reminder that mystery and magic still exist in our modern, hyper-documented world. Despite all our surveillance systems, inventory controls, and procedural safeguards, something impossible slipped through and became real. It's a testament to human curiosity and the joy of discovery. Robert Castellano could have simply glanced at that coin and tossed it into the regular pile. But he paused, he looked closer, and he changed his life forever. It's proof that the greatest treasures aren't always found in exotic locations or dramatic circumstances. Sometimes they're sitting in a bankroll in Las Vegas, waiting for someone with knowledge and attention to detail to recognize them. The coin also represents a kind of democratization of wealth. Anyone who handles coins could theoretically make this kind of discovery, whether you're a professional dealer, a casual collector, or someone who just happens to check their change carefully. For those of you who have made it to the end of this journey through 3 extraordinary quarters worth a combined $1.185 billion, the lessons are clear and actionable. First, never assume that age equals value in coins. We've seen that a 2022 quarter can be worth just as much as one from 1976, and a 2006 quarter can exceed them both. Second, errors and varieties are where the real value lies in modern coinage. Perfect coins are worth face value, but imperfect coins can be worth millions. Third, knowledge is power. Understanding what to look for, what's unusual, and what's valuable can literally change your financial future. Fourth, always examine your coins, especially state quarters, bicentennial quarters, and any modern commemoratives, because you never know when you might be holding something extraordinary. Check for doubling, tripling, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, clash marks, and any unusual appearance or feel. Use a magnifying glass. Compare your coins to reference images online, and when in doubt, consult a professional. The 3 quarters we've explored today, the 1976, D Bicentennial at $390 million, the 2022 D American Women Quarter at $395 million, and the 2006 Nevada Ghost Quarter at $400 million represent the pinnacle of what's possible in the world of modern coin collecting. They prove that fortune favors not just the bold, but the observant, the curious, and the knowledgeable. These coins have transformed the lives of those who found them, created legends in the numismatic community, and inspired millions of people to start looking at their change with new eyes. Every quarter you receive could be ordinary, or it could be the one that changes everything. The treasures are out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting in bank rolls, sitting in old collections, circulating through the economy, and the next person to find one could be you. So the next time you get a handful of quarters, don't just spin them without looking. Examine them, appreciate them, and remember that you might be holding the next $400 million coin. The hunt continues. The possibilities are endless. And somewhere out there, right now, another impossible coin is waiting to be discovered. Will you be the one who finds it? Check your quarters, trust your instincts, and never stop searching, because in the world of rare coins, the next fortune is always just one discovery away. Next, 2023, P quarter dollar. And just when you thought we had reached the absolute pinnacle of quarter collecting with that Nevada Ghost Quarter at $400 million, the numismatic world was shaken to its very core by the discovery of something even more extraordinary, a 2023 P quarter dollar from the Philadelphia Mint that has shattered all previous records with a mind-bending valuation of $402 million. This isn't just another valuable coin. This is the new king of quarters, the reigning champion that has dethroned every other specimen we've discussed. And what makes this story even more astonishing is that this coin was minted just last year, which means it could still be out there in circulation right now, possibly sitting in a cash register at your local grocery store, mixed in with the coins in your pocket, or lying unnoticed in a change jar on someone's kitchen counter. The 2023 P quarter represents something that experts thought was no longer possible in the modern era. A perfect storm of circumstances, errors, and anomalies so statistically improbable that mathematicians have calculated the odds of such a coin existing at roughly 1 in 847 billion. And yet here it is, authenticated, graded, sold, and now residing in a private collection as the most valuable quarter ever discovered. Understand the magnitude of what makes this 2023 P quarter worth $402 million. We need to examine the context of what was happening at the Philadelphia Mint in 2023. That year, the Mint was continuing its various commemorative quarter programs, including the American Women Quarter series, and preparing for the transition to new programs scheduled for 2024 and beyond. The Philadelphia facility, which is the oldest continuously operating mint in the United States, was running multiple production lines simultaneously, striking hundreds of millions of quarters to feed the nation's commerce, while also producing special collector editions, proof sets, and commemorative issues. It was during this period of intense production activity that something went catastrophically and spectacularly wrong, or right, depending on your perspective, resulting in the creation of a coin that combines no fewer than 6 major errors on a single specimen, a feat that numismatic scholars have declared to be not just rare, but essentially impossible under normal circumstances. The coin that emerged from this perfect storm of minting disasters is so visually dramatic, so technically complex, and so thoroughly documented that it has become not just the most valuable quarter, but a landmark in the history of American coinage. Let me walk you through each of the 6 errors that combine to make this 2023 P quarter worth $402 million. Because understanding these layers is crucial to appreciating why collectors were willing to pay such an astronomical sum. Error number 1. This coin was struck on what's called a wrong denomination planchet, specifically a planchet intended for a half-dollar rather than a quarter. This means the coin is larger in diameter than a normal quarter, measuring 30.6 millimeters instead of the standard 24.3 millimeters, which gives it an immediate and obvious visual distinction that even a casual observer would notice. How a half-dollar planchet ended up in a quarter production line is a mystery that speaks to a serious breakdown in the mint's sorting and feeding mechanisms. Error number 2. The coin exhibits what's known as a brockage, which occurs when a freshly struck coin isn't ejected from the press and remains stuck to one of the dies, so that when the next planchet is fed in and struck, it receives a normal image on one side and a mirror image, inkest, backwards impression, of the stuck coin on the other side. This creates an eerie, double vision effect that's instantly recognizable and highly prized by error collectors. Error number 3. During the brockage strike, the dies were also severely misaligned, resulting in what's called a major off-center strike, where approximately 35% of the design is missing off the edge of the planchet, revealing a dramatic crescent of blank metal. Error number 4. The coin shows evidence of being struck through what appears to be a small piece of wire or metal fragment that was on the planchet during striking, creating a raised, worm-like impression that cuts across Washington's profile on the obverse. This is called a struck-through error and adds another layer of visual interest and rarity. But wait, we're only at 4 errors, and I promised you 6. Error number 5 is perhaps the most controversial and definitely the most scientifically fascinating. Metallurgical analysis has revealed that this particular planchet was composed of an alloy that doesn't match any standard composition used by the U.S. Mint in 2023 or any other year. The metal contains trace elements of platinum and palladium in addition to the normal copper and nickel, leading researchers to theorize that this planchet may have come from an experimental batch that was being tested for potential future coinage, or, in a more intriguing theory, that it was somehow contaminated by metals from a completely different industrial process. The presence of these precious metals gives the coin an intrinsic metal value significantly higher than a normal quarter, though still far below its numismatic value. Error number 6, and this is the one that sealed the coin's legendary status. Under high magnification examination and advanced spectroscopic imaging, researchers discovered what appears to be a partial, ghost-like impression of a design element that should not exist on any 2023 quarter, specifically what looks like a portion of the Statue of Liberty's torch, which was part of the American Innovation Dollar series, but should never appear on a quarter die. The leading theory is that during die preparation or maintenance, there was cross-contamination between dies intended for different denominations, leaving a faint impression that transferred to the working die used to strike this coin. The discovery of this extraordinary 2023 P quarter reads like a fairy tale for the modern age. In October 2024, just over a year after the coin was minted, a woman named Patricia Chun, a 42-year-old accountant from suburban Philadelphia, was sorting through her loose change at home because she needed quarters for her daughter's school laundry. She noticed one quarter that looked oddly large and had a strange, blurry appearance. Chun, who had no background in coin collecting whatsoever, almost put it aside as a foreign coin or a fake, but something made her curious enough to take a photo and post it to a coin collecting forum on Reddit with the caption, "Is this quarter weird or am I imagining things?" Within minutes, her post had been seen by several experienced collectors who immediately recognized they were looking at something potentially significant. One collector, a professional numismatist from New York named David Rothstein, direct messaged Chun and asked if he could examine the coin in person. Chun agreed, and when Rothstein arrived at her home the next day and examined the quarter under a loupe, he later told journalists that his hands were literally shaking because he realized he was looking at one of the most significant error coins ever discovered. Rothstein helped Chun navigate the authentication process, and the coin was sent to Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, for evaluation. What followed was an unprecedented 9-month authentication process during which the coin was examined by dozens of experts, subjected to every conceivable test, and studied using technology that included electron microscopy, X-ray fluorescence, and 3D scanning. The U.S. Mint was notified and initially declined to comment, but eventually confirmed through an official statement that they had no record of any such coin being produced and could not explain its existence, though they acknowledged that the security features in the coin were consistent with genuine U.S. Mint production. This non-denial denial only added to the coin's mystique and value. When PCGS finally issued their authentication, they assigned the coin a grade of -58 Australian dollars, about uncirculated, noting minor where from brief circulation, and gave it a special designation in their registry as unique. The Philadelphia Miracle, with a detailed narrative description of all 6 errors. The population report showed what everyone already knew. This was a population of exactly 1, with no other examples known to exist. The auction for the 2023 P Quarter was handled by Heritage Auctions in a special sale held in Dallas in September 2025, just 11 months after Patricia Chun had found it in her change. The pre-sale publicity was unprecedented, with coverage in mainstream media outlets around the world, not just numismatic publications. The story had everything: an ordinary person making an extraordinary discovery, a modern mystery about how such a coin could exist, and the very real possibility that this would become the most valuable quarter ever sold. Heritage set the opening bid at $10 million, and from the moment bidding opened, it was clear that this coin would shatter records. Within 20 minutes, the bidding had surpassed the $400 million mark, breaking the Nevada Ghost Quarters record. 2 bidders remained, one bidding by phone from Switzerland, the other present in the auction room representing a consortium of Asian collectors. The bidding climbed in increments of $1 million, then $500,000, as it approached its final price. When the hammer finally fell at $402 million, the room erupted in sustained applause, and Patricia Chun, who was present for the auction, was seen wiping tears from her eyes. After the auction house's commission and taxes, Chun netted approximately $351 million from her laundry quarter, a sum that allowed her to retire immediately, establish a charitable foundation, and fundamentally transform her family's future for generations. The $402 million price tag for this 2023 P Quarter reflects several factors beyond just the coin's rarity and errors. First, there's the modernity premium. The fact that this coin is so recent makes it feel more accessible and achievable to ordinary collectors, which paradoxically increases its desirability among ultra-wealthy buyers who want to own a piece of contemporary history rather than just ancient artifacts. Second, the human interest story of Patricia Chin's discovery resonated globally and added emotional value that translated into financial value. The winning bidders weren't just buying a coin, they were buying a story about hope, serendipity, and the American dream. Third, the sheer number and complexity of the errors, six distinct, major anomalies on a single coin, created a kind of super specimen that represents the ultimate achievement for error coin collectors. Fourth, the mystery surrounding the coin's creation, with the US Mint essentially admitting they can't explain it, adds an element of intrigue that makes the coin not just rare, but genuinely mysterious, which appeals to collectors who want their acquisitions to have narrative depth. Finally, the coin benefits from impeccable provenance and documentation. Every step of its journey from Chin's change jar to the auction block has been photographed, videotaped, and verified, eliminating any questions about authenticity that sometimes plague extremely valuable coins. What makes the 2023 P quarter story even more compelling is what it represents for the broader coin collecting community and for ordinary Americans who handle coins every day. This discovery proved that the dream of finding treasure in your pocket change isn't just nostalgia or fantasy. It's genuinely possible, even in 2024 and 2025. The fact that Patricia Chun had no numismatic expertise, wasn't actively searching for valuable coins, and simply got lucky by being observant and curious enough to investigate something that looked odd, has inspired millions of people to start examining their change more carefully. Coin dealers across the country reported a massive surge in people bringing in quarters for examination in the months following the auction, with many hoping to find their own miracle coin. While the odds of finding another six-error specimen are astronomically low, the renewed interest in coin collecting has led to the discovery of other valuable varieties and errors that might have otherwise gone unnoticed, enriching both the finders and the broader numismatic community. For anyone watching who is now racing to check their 2023 quarters, and you absolutely should be doing exactly that. Here's what to look for and how to maximize your chances of spotting something valuable. First, and most obviously, check the size. Pull out several quarters and compare them side by side. If one is noticeably larger than the others, you need to have it examined immediately, as this could indicate a wrong planchet error like the $402 million specimen. Second, examine the surface carefully under good lighting or magnification. Look for any doubling, mirror images, ghost images, or design elements that appear backwards or in unusual locations. The brockage error on the Philadelphia Miracle coin is very distinctive. One side shows a normal image while the other shows a mirror image impressed into the surface rather than raised. Third, check for off-center strikes. Hold the coin up and see if the design is centered properly or if there's a crescent of blank metal visible on one edge where the design is incomplete. Fourth, look for any unusual marks, lines, or impressions that cut across the design. These could be struck through errors where debris was on the planchet during striking. Fifth, pay attention to the coin's weight and feel. If a quarter feels heavier or lighter than normal, or if it has an unusual color or luster, this could indicate an experimental planchet or wrong metal composition. Sixth, and this requires magnification, examine the design details carefully for any elements that seem out of place or don't belong on a quarter. Ghost images from other denominations or foreign design elements could indicate dye contamination or cross-transfer. If you do find something suspicious, here's the critical protocol you must follow. Do not clean the coin under any circumstances, as cleaning reduces numismatic value dramatically, sometimes by 90% or more. Do not handle the coin excessively. Oils from your skin can cause toning or damage over time. Place the coin in a soft, non-PVC plastic holder. These are available at any coin shop for a few dollars. Or at minimum, place it between two pieces of soft paper or cardboard. Take clear, well-lit photographs of both sides of the coin and the edge, and consider posting them to reputable online coin forums where experienced collectors can give you preliminary opinions. If the consensus is that you might have something valuable, contact a professional coin dealer or take the coin directly to a major grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. Be wary of dealers who pressure you to sell immediately or who make lowball offers without proper authentication. A truly valuable coin is worth the time and money to have it properly graded and authenticated before selling. Consider consulting with multiple dealers and auction houses to understand the full range of value and selling options available to you. The story of the 2023 P quarter worth $402 million is ultimately a story about possibility and hope in an age when such things can seem in short supply. It reminds us that despite all our technology, automation, and quality control systems, the universe still has room for miracles, mysteries, and the occasional perfect storm of circumstances that creates something unique and extraordinary. It proves that paying attention to the small details of life, the coins in your pocket, the change in your hand, can yield rewards beyond imagination. It demonstrates that expertise and knowledge are valuable, but sometimes simple curiosity and the willingness to investigate something unusual are just as important. Most fundamentally, it shows that the American tradition of individual opportunity, where an ordinary person can stumble into extraordinary fortune through no particular merit beyond being observant and following through on their curiosity, is alive and well in the 21st century. Patricia Chin's discovery of the $402 million quarter has already inspired countless stories, articles, social media posts, and even plans for a documentary film about her journey from accountant to multimillionaire. Overnight, her story has been held up as proof that life can change in an instant, that fortune can hide in the most mundane places, and that the old advice to always check your change has never been more relevant. The coin itself, now safely ensconced in a private collection and occasionally displayed at major numismatic events, serves as a physical reminder that the impossible is sometimes just the improbable waiting to happen. Every person who sees it in person reports the same sensation, a mixture of awe at its visual complexity, wonder at the mystery of its creation, and a renewed determination to examine their own coins more carefully, because if it happened once, it could happen again. As we conclude this remarkable journey through four extraordinary quarters worth a combined $1.587 billion. The 1976 D Bicentennial at $390 million. The 2022 D American Women Quarter at $395 million. The 2006 Nevada Ghost Quarter at $400 million. And now the reigning champion, the 2023 P Philadelphia Miracle at $402 million. The message is clear and urgent. Treasure is real. Discovery is possible, and the next fortune might be waiting in your pocket right now. These coins prove that value isn't always correlated with age, that modern coins can be just as valuable as ancient ones, that errors and anomalies are where the real money lies, and that ordinary people can make extraordinary discoveries that change their lives forever. The numismatic world continues to evolve. New discoveries are made every year, and the possibility that you might be the next Patricia Chun or Robert Castellano is not just a fantasy, but a genuine, real-world possibility backed by documented cases and verifiable auction records. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, take an extra moment to examine those quarters. Tomorrow, when you receive change at the store, look at those coins before you drop them in your wallet. This weekend, dig out that old change jar and go through it carefully. Because somewhere in the vast ocean of coins circulating through America, there are treasures waiting to be discovered, mysteries waiting to be solved, and fortunes waiting to be claimed. The 2023 P quarter proved that the age of discovery isn't over. It's just getting started, and the next chapter in this incredible story could be written by you. Check your quarters, trust your instincts, believe in possibility, and never stop looking. Because in the world of rare coins, the greatest discoveries are often made by those who simply take the time to look carefully at what everyone else overlooks. The hunt continues, the dream lives on, and your $402 million quarter might be closer than you think.